So today we are discussing about a new topic called Azure storage. Okay. So this Azure storage means it is one of the technology or a service available over the cloud. Okay. To make use of that, and you can store whatever data you wanted to store in the cloud. Okay. So basically it's a service. Okay. It will allow you to store the required data in the cloud. Okay, you can see there are five types of storage within the cloud. Okay, so when you take I mean storage as a single service. Okay, if you take it as storage as a single service, that gets classified into five types again. Okay, so basically, so what is the storage? Storage means it's a to store something. Okay, so that gets classified into multiple types. Okay, the first one is blob storage. We can see it is blob storage. Blob means it is binary large object storage. Okay, and the second one is file storage. Third one is table storage, and fourth one is queue storage. Means if you want to dump what kind of data, okay, if you know what kind of data it is, you can select that particular type of storage. See, normally what happens if you dump everything at one place, it is not very easy to, whenever you want to pick up something, you have to go roam, find out. It took it normally takes time. But in case of segregation is there. Okay, maybe say for example in your laptop, if you have stored everything in a single folder, what you have to do, you have to go on date modified, or you have to go on the type. Okay, and then you have to find it manually. But if you create a folder like inside in the D drive or E drive, you created a folder called data. Under that, MP3 videos, Excel files, PPTs, like that. If you have a separate segregation, you can directly go there, and you will be already done 50 to 60% of the work, and you can just go there and pick up the file. Okay, basically to ensure the performance as well as easy to operate, you will have different kinds of storage there. So here also we have there are four types of storages. One is blob storage, file storage, table storage, and queue storage, and each and every storage will be used for a separate and dedicated purposes. Okay, so let us understand what all each storage service is about. Okay, the first one is blob storage. I was talking about the blob means I already told you it's binary large object. Okay, so what it will help, it will help you to store larger amount of objects. Okay, if you have large number of data, or petabytes, terabytes of data, it will allow you to store in the large, like the file size is like one file size is has got 2 GB, 10 GB, 100 GB. Okay, that kind of data can be stored in the Azure blob storage. And you can store unstructured data, means it is not necessarily you have to segregate it. It will ask anything that you wanted. It will allow you to store anything that you wanted. You can store your images, files, mp3 videos, text files, or encrypted files. Any data you put it, it will be just accepted, and you will be able to store everything. That is called as unstructured data. Unstructured means there is no one type of file. It has got all the combination of the files. All the extensions will be stored in the unstructured, in the blob storage. That is why we call it as unstructured data. Okay, like in your laptop, you will stay, right? Everything will store. You will store your mp3s, your softwares, your ISO images, your video files, movies, excels, cvs, everything that you store there. That is called as unstructured data, and we can store it in the blob. So blob is nothing but binary large object. It will allow you to store the larger objects. It will allow you to store the unstructured data in the machine. Okay, next one is file storage. So when we last class, when we were working on the file storage, okay, file services, I was explaining you. So file storage or file server is nothing but it's a dedicated server. We have it in our office, and we have created separate folders inside that and given access to the respective team, so that the data of the respective team is secured and only the relevant people will have the access. If you don't want to manage such kind of server, you have another option called Azure File Storage. You can use that storage to store your data and share it with multiple pupils or multiple users in your organization, and it will allow you to store any kinds of data. You can put your ppts, you can put your excel sheets, you can share any shared content. Okay, everything will be allowed in the file server. Basically, the file storage will help you to work as a file server, similar to your on premises or similar to your server, which is file server. Okay, that is about the file storage. And queue storage, right? So any data which needs to be processed in the queue manner, say for example, when you go to the ATM or when you go to the online transactions, okay, it is like first come first serve. Whoever goes first, they will get the things first and they will be coming out. So any transactional related things, okay, see, you for a bank you are one person, but for the bank like us there are many peoples are there, correct, right? For me bank is single point, but for bank our type of peoples will be lot of peoples will be there. Okay, so what they have to do, they always do one by one, one after the other. The queue concept means any kind of transactional data, okay, that will be stored in the queue storage. Okay, so sometimes you might have seen, so when you make the payment in the phone pay or google pay, the money got debited. Okay, but you when you look at the transaction says processing, and they will tell it will take 24 hours to fill it, I mean resolve the issue. So why? Because that is there in the queue. Okay, once within 24 hours, it will pick up that again that file again and will process. If it is not happening within the 24 hours, okay, and that will get discarded. Then your money will be returned to your account. Okay, so basically the queue storage means any data which is processed in the queue manner, like one after the other, like your payment transactions, Paytm transactions, Google Pay transactions, Phone Pay transactions, okay, or any other such kind of things, and it is processed one after the other transaction. So each message of maximum size 64 KB means your transaction information will not much information. It will not have much information. It will only have your card information, your account information, your PIN information, and how much amount you have debited or credited. Okay, that information it will have. So that is valid for 7 days. After 7 days, automatically that file will be getting purged from the storage, because to store, to optimize the storage, we don't want to have all the metadata junk data in the storage, because that will eaten up the cost. That is why we will set 7 days of time, and maximum after the 7 days that old file which got older than 7 days will get deleted. So such kind of storage will be used in the queue storage. And the last one is the table storage. See, stable storage will be used to store the structured data. Means it will have a structure. If it is like an employee information, it will have a detailed information, like what is the serial number, what is the employee name, what is the employee ID, what is the date of joining, okay, what is the level or designation of the employee. So that is structured data. Likewise, even we can consider the student database as well. If you go to any college, if you look at the student database, it will have like first year, second year, final year. What is the student name? Which standard is studying? Okay, what is his subjects? What is his phone number? What is his parents' information? What is his address? Okay, all this information will be there in the table storage. Means such kind of structured data will be stored in the uh, table storage. Okay, so these are all the four types of storage we will deal with respect to the storage accounts. So people may ask you in the interview what is storage account and what is blob and what are all the storages we can consume. So majorly used one is blob storage only, binary large object, and the Azure file storage. The queue and the table storage will be used in the banking sector, in the educational sector, or any financial institutes. Okay, they will use the below 2, because wherever they have to maintain the database, so such places they will use queue and table storages. Okay, so now let us understand a little bit on the storage accounts. So to store the data in the cloud, we have an option called storage account. Means you can create a resource called storage account, and you can dump the data inside that. Inside the storage account, you can create blobs, you can create a table, you can create no queue, or you can even create the file storage as well. That is inside the storage account. So in the storage accounts also, there are two types of storage accounts are there. Okay, when you are creating the storage account, it will ask what kind of storage account you wanted. You want to go for a general purpose v2, general purpose v1, or blob storage account. Okay, you need to select depend on your requirement. So this general purpose version 1 was the pretty older version. When the cloud started, that time they have invented that one, and it was a very cheaper services. Okay, but the performance is also very less. The read and write operations is not up to the mark. Okay, it may not be fit in for all the performance related applications or usages. Then you have another one called version 2, general purpose version 2. So that is the newer storage version, okay, which has got recently come up. It has got very good performance. The other new features also got added here. Okay, it will also enable you to zone redundant storage. Means when you store the data in this general purpose version 2, you can move the data from one region to another region. Means one zone to another zone. Means you have one zone, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. You can restore the data to the virtual machines which are there in the other zone as well. Okay, and since it is providing all this feature, the little bit expensive it is compared to the version 1, it is bit expensive. Okay, that is called as version 2. And the next one is blob. So I already told you blob means it's binary larger object. So if you want to store larger amount of data, or if you want to store the unstructured data, you can always go with the blobber, and the blob storage is cheaper. So this will allow you to create the life cycle management as well. So within the cloud, there are two types of tiers will be there. Any storage account that you create, it will have two tiers. TIER tiers. One is hot, another one is cold. Okay, so if you have any data which is daily transacted, say for example you will read something from the storage account, you will again write something to the storage account, means every now and then you will be interacting with the storage account to read and write operations will be happening. So such kind of scenario, you can always go with the hot tier, because hot tier is for highly transactionable data. The performance will be very pretty faster in the hot tier. But in the cold tier, it is not like that. So what it will do, if you don't use the data for every regularly, every time or regularly, say for example monthly once or monthly two times, you will use the data, you will write the data. If that is the case, you can go to cold tier. Cold tier is very cheaper than the hot tier, and the performance is also very less here. So basically, to kind of archival data, archival means to safeguard the data, we will store somewhere, and we will very rarely we will use that data. If that is the scenario, you can always go with the cold tier. Okay, so these are the two tier. So you can enable life cycle management. There is an automated policies are there. You can tell, you look at the data. If the data is not transacted, there is no read, write, and access happened for the data or the file more than 30 days, you move that to cold tier. If the file is not modified or not accessed more than 60 days or 90 days, then you move it to the archival storage. So like that, you can enable the life cycle management within the storage accounts as well. Okay, that is all basically to store the cost, because cloud is pay as you go. Cloud provides you an n number of opportunities to save the cost, but you should have the idea about how that works. How can you handle it without impacting your business? How can you save the cost? That's more important. The features of some of the features of the storage. You may ask, sir, why will I go to the storage? It is better to have a server in on-premises and give the access. Okay. These 4 to 5 things are very, very important to understand. See, the storage account which you created in the cloud, right? It is very, very durable and highly available. Means no matter what happens, okay, the Microsoft or any cloud provider will ensure your data is safeguarded. If you put the data in one place, right, they will sync the same data to the multiple region. So if Western Europe, if you create a storage account, if the Western Europe is getting no crashed or disaster happens, one more copy of the data will be somewhere in the US or India. You can retrieve the data from there. That is called as durable and highly available and secure. Even Microsoft don't know, they will not be able to see what exactly you are storing inside the storage account, because the data which you store, that is end to end encrypted with highly developed, well advanced algorithms. Okay, so 256 bit level no, encryption will be there. Even Microsoft doesn't know, they will not be able to understand what data is flowing inside or what data you have kept inside the storage account. That is the security is more. Okay, but in case of this thing, right, on premises, what you have to do to safeguard the server, you should have two servers. One is in, maybe one is in India, another one is in US. Or if you are domestic users, one is in Bangalore, another one is Hyderabad. You have to make sure the data is synchronized from this server to the server. So investment is more. And to safeguard the data, you need to put the firewall Bangalore also, Hyderabad also. Investment is more. And scalable. Say for example, today you started the company last 2 years back. Your capacity, total capacity was 1 terabyte or 1 petabyte. As the data increases, you are thinking that my business will grow for this certain level. So currently, if I buy 500 GB of hard disk, it is not enough. I need to go for 10 terabytes of storage. Then in the day one only, will invest too much. But in case of cloud, it is not like that. It is auto scalable. It is scalable, means you don't need to worry about the increasing or decreasing of the capacity. If today if you put 10 GB, they will charge you for 10 GB. Tomorrow also you can put 10 petabytes also. You don't need to worry about the storage, because it's pay as you go. There you have n number of storage available. That is called scalable. And managed storage. Managed storage means all the platform level management, like patching the hardware, taking care of all the storage performance, everything will be done by Microsoft. You don't need to worry at all. You just put the data, read the data, consume the data, store the data. That's all. Nothing, you don't need to worry about the underlying no, firmware installation, maybe updates installations or any kind of hardware failure. Okay, that kind of burden is not there for you when you opt the storage accounts in the cloud. And accessible, it is, we will use either HTTP or HTTPS link. We will access the data via internet. Okay, and the data is end to end secured. You can access the data from anywhere over the world if you have that URL. Okay, so all this feature made everybody to move towards the Azure storage in the cloud. Okay, any question here? Okay, so remaining things I already told. The blob storage means binary large object is used to serve the images, store the files, distributed access, streaming the videos. You might have seen, right, why blob storage will be used. I'll explain this slide, one slide. Okay, so you might have this Netflix, Amazon Prime, all the OTTs is there now. So they will use this blob storage only. If you look at here, the below picture, it has got a folder called data. That's my storage account, and inside the storage account, I have created the data. And inside the data, you have created the subfolders, the containers. Means you have the storage account, you can create the container, and inside the container, you can store the blobs. The same thing I have done. I have created a storage account and I have created a folder called data, or I have created a storage account called data. Okay, So inside that I have created two more containers, pictures and movies. And inside the movies I have put the movies, and inside the picture I have put the multiple pictures. So each and every pictures and movies will be called as blobs. Okay. So this Amazon Prime, Netflix, any what it is, right? They always use this blob storage because blob is cheaper. That is why sometimes when you are watching the movie, even though the internet is faster, pretty faster, while streaming, it will just say loading, 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 because that underlying hardware where the data is stored, okay, that is not that much level of performance is not good there. That is the reason that loading will be there. Even though the internet speed is high, maybe the device where we have stored that picture or the movies, it is not performance effective. Okay, this is what the blob storage. That's why I told you, see, serving the images and documents directly to the browser, storing the files for distributed access means you can create a files and folders and give access to multiple peoples, streaming the videos and musics. Okay, this Amazon Prime, Wink Music, everything is this blob storage only. And storing the data for backup and disaster recovery. If you want to store the backup, you can use this. And archival analysis purposes, I told you the data which is more than 60 days not written, read operations happened, then you can move that to the archival purposes. And blob can be accessed via internet using HTTP or HTTPS protocols. And the blob storage offers three types of resources: storage accounts, containers, and blob containers. I just told you, you can create an account, create the containers. Inside the container, you can create the blobs or you can store the blobs. That is about the blob. And if you look at other storage, the container means it organizes a set of blobs similar to the directory. Means you can create a separate dedicated container within the storage accounts to store the data. Okay, so there are three types of blobs again there. One is block blob, append blob, page blob. Okay, means block blob means store the text and binary data. It allow up to 4.7 terabytes of storage. Okay, append means you can blobs are made up of blocks like blob means optimized for append operations, and then blobs are ideal for scenarios logging the data from virtual machines. Means append blobs are made up of blocks like black blobs but are optimized for append operations. Means, say for example, you have some data and every day you are adding some data to that. So without hampering the existing data, you can put the data in the same blob. That is called as append. Means you have something, or you are appending something. You have some cache at home, you are adding some more cache to that, the same thing. Okay, and the page blobs are used for the structured data. Means it stores up to the 8 terabytes of capacity. So that is about the page blob. It will be used to store your virtual hard disk. Like when you create the virtual machines now, you will store that operating system in a disk called virtual hard disk, VHDs. So this page blobs will be used to store such kind of virtual hard disks. Okay, so each page will be there. Now that will be a maximum of 512 bytes. Okay, the total size is 8 terabytes. Okay, so that's about the page blob. And storage accounts will be like this. You see here, when you want to access, when you create a storage account, so it will be like this. It will give an URL. What you can go to your browser, http colon my storage account dot blob dot core dot windows dot net. If you access that, you can see the storage account that you created. You can browse it via internet also. So this is all I already explained. Azure file storage means it's a file server. It replaces your file server. You can create the files and folders. You can share the data to the multiple users, and you can restrict the users, give the permissions, allow, deny. Okay, or if you want to say for example, if you have some audit is going on, and you have to give them access only for the particular 2-3 days of time. After the 3 days or 2 days, the the access should be expired. So all this can be provided in the Azure file storage. Queue storage you already know. So it stores queue operational data, maximum 7 days, 64 KB is the capacity. Okay, all those things. Table storage, I already told you, it's kind of database to store the structured data, student information, employee information, or any kind of information which is structured can be stored in the table storage. Okay, so with that, I think the storage accounts is also done. So let me stop the recording and then I'll take the questions.